Once it's going to be affordable, covered by insurance, I'm a big believer that egg freezing and IVF is going to be the way our next generation will expand. I think that having timed intercourse or unprotected intercourse for reproduction is going to be falling out of favor in the next generation or so.
Wait. What?
Yeah.
What did you just say?
I said that sex is going to be for fun and for pleasure, but most likely in a generation from now, when couples want to have kids, most likely they're going to be using artificial reproductive technique. You'll have frozen eggs.
Wait, are you saying that we won't have sex to have children?
I'm sure my 2-year-old will ask me, Mom, Dad, you had unprotected intercourse? What about chromosomal abnormalities, miscarriages, twins? What were you doing? Russian roulette.
Wow. I hope everyone really understands the ramifications of what he is saying. That is a doctor. He's Dr. Singer, I believe his name is, out of New York City. Shelley, what's your response to that exchange?
My response is, it's going to be sad. That's putting it mildly. The fact that, now granted, let me say this. I am not mocking anyone who has struggled to have a child.
Absolutely.
I'm not. I'm a normal. It's a real phenomenon. Number one. Number two, there are provisions, I guess, for people to help people to assist them in having babies. But when you remove the natural from one of those means, the natural means to have babies from one of those provisions, something is very wrong. This is twisted to me. So it's okay, or it seems to be that I'm going to call them test tube babies. That's going to be the norm versus the actual real norm of how babies are made. So again, I mean, I know it happens now. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around it. To me, it sounds more along the lines of actually creating people, creating children for the sake of the state, to be able to control them. Because if you remove your mom and dad from that equation, if you will, then how did I get here? Oh, the state the state created a way for me to have you. So you really belong to the state.
Yeah. It's no family building, just indulgence. Yeah. And this decoupling of sex from reproduction removes the power and sanctity from creation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yana, what are your thoughts on this?
There's so many ramifications.
It is a lot more.
So what he is describing, and for some reason he sounds excited about this dystopian.
Well, he would get the business part of it.
Yeah. IVF is very expensive.
But this dystopian future that he's describing, but he's not talking about the fact that women who go through IVF, they have a higher chance of cancer of their reproductive organs. So right now, women who are struggling to get pregnant, they can have that choice. But imagine if everyone did that, the rates of cancer, how much is going to go up? Like, he's not saying anything about that. Also, think about, all right, in the future, let's say people do that. They freeze the eggs and they only, have babies when they decide. And so then when it does happen naturally, what are people going to do then? Exactly. So that's the other consequences. That's logically will lead to abortion, because then you're thinking, well, I guess it's more humane to abort, because what if this baby that was not produced in the lab will have some kind of chromosomal abnormalities? Right. So to just remove even the risk of that, they would just going to abort. Like, that is the kind of future that he is describing. And that's very, very dystopian. It's absolutely Marxist, where Marxists were the first ones to talk about contraception and abortion, because they wanted to remove sexual activity from responsibility. That was their entire message back in the 1800s.
Wow.
And they're still working towards that.
Yeah, Nicole.
So a couple of things. This kind of piggybacks on the topic that we had before. If I'm a powerful woman, right? I've been around the block.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I want to have a baby. I don't need you. I'm going down the
Exactly.
corner and I'm gonna pick.
Exactly.
Let me see if I can find what used to be a man.
Wow.
Give me a little bit of section A, maybe a little bit of column B. We're talking about designer babies, and they've been talking
Exactly.
about designer
For
babies
years.
for decades.
For years.
Right? There's a certain subset of medicine that says we can do it better than God.
Exactly.
And they are absolutely wrong.
And they're typically called Frankensteins in the
Absolutely.
end, because the result is literally a Frankenstein. But one more thing, when he also said about it's going to be the cost is going to be much more reduced in however long, and maybe more insurances will pay for it. That's how he's going to get his money.
Of course. Let me
So
tell you, he's
it's going to
already
be
rich.
back to what's his name, Mandami. This free stuff, right? So all of these, the masses of people, women, husbands, families, they want to, they don't have quote unquote free because their insurance is going to pay for this. The government is certainly going to pay a portion of it. This man or his types will get the money, and then we have all the consequences thereof with all of these families having whatever kind of babies when they want or they don't. Things like it's so many
And guess what?
ramifications
It's something
to
else
this.
too. If we go even a little deeper, they are creating the problem of women not having children.
Exactly.
Okay. You know, what happened with this jab there's studies that show some women that got the jab that were of the baby making age are having issues with fertility.
Right.
The food, the water, all of this stuff. We're seeing environmental issues. We're seeing food issues. They are creating a space, a world where women are having a harder time, and men are having a harder time to have babies. And so they're pushing them towards this IVF, all of this, so we can become a world where you have, like he described.
All this stuff is connected.
And and you know what? I have to be a woman's advocate in this case, where this man is talking about pumping women with hormones. Like, does he not understand what it does to a woman's body to put those intense hormones for her ovaries to produce, like, how many, like, multiple eggs, like 6 or 8 eggs at the same time?
And then not all of them are viable.
Not all of them are viable.
But when like, no, they have to like harvest like at least 6 of them, in order to hopefully, make a baby. And normally a woman's body produces 1 per month. Like, imagine the amount of hormones that he's saying women should take just because, not because they have issues with fertility.
Right, because
just,
and added to that, Jan, I'm sorry, you made me think of something else. Don't forget the women that are going to be mass producers of eggs, right? Because some women may already have some, I'm going to say defect, biological defect, where they're not producing eggs, whatever. I'm just going to say that. So they're going to be women, selected women, we're going to pick from certain women. They're going to be, right. This is like the Handmaid's Tale. So,
this is transhumanism. Egg freezing is another step towards normalizing synthetic reproduction. So the end goal is to strip humanity of its natural roots and turn reproduction into a machine-run system. Another thing, I encourage you all to watch the full 60-minute segment on this. They also talked about AI. So in Japan, they have a situation where young boys are virgins, and they have fake dolls, AI robots there to be their companions. And so this is why they're doing this. So if sex is no longer about reproduction, then you can get some type of AI doll, AI robot to do whatever you want to it. And then you go to IVF, or you go to the place and you pick up your embryos and you do all that. So again, this is sick.